Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about A Castle for Christmas. A Castle for Christmas is a Christmas-themed romantic comedy that tells the story of an author named Sophie Brown, who's dealing with a round of bad publicity after making the controversial decision to kill off one of her book series characters, and to get away from the stress of it all, she decides to take a vacation in Scotland. As she spends time at her destination, she finds herself falling in love with a castle that she believes to be associated with her family ancestry, but has to deal with a curmudgeonous duke who owns it, and as you could expect from this sort of movie, the two eventually fall in love and experience the usual highs and lows. The title alone should signal warning bells to anyone who's ever seen a Hallmark Channel rom-com before, and so I expected this movie to be of the same level of quality, but honestly, I was kind of surprised at how much I ended up enjoying it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be winning awards or anything like that, but it did end up being a somewhat fun and charming experience to watch, with a fair few flaws here and there too. I think a lot of that is thanks to the performances of the two leads and the chemistry they have together. Brooke Shields plays the lead role of Sophie Brown. By herself, I think she's okay, though definitely better when on screen with her counterpart. We get to learn a bit about her family history and how it ties to Dunbar, the castle where she stays throughout the story, so she's not making a getaway trip just for the sake of traveling and de-stressing. She actually has a goal in place beyond the romance, which is to buy the castle once she starts to feel more at home within it. I always like it when a rom-com makes its lovers have a degree of independence like this, because it gives more time to digest who the characters are as characters. Like I said though, she's a pretty average protagonist. The author element of her personality isn't as developed as I would like it to be. Once every 20 minutes, she'll sit and type a few lines at her computer, only to backspace it to a blank page again. Nothing ever gets accomplished on this front until it magically happens at the end of the movie, which is cliche in and of itself. Carrie Elwes plays the other lead role of Miles Dunbar, and is a welcome sight for any diehard Princess Bride fan. What I like most about his character is that he doesn't immediately warm up to Sophie. In fact, he starts off being antagonistic toward her, which I thought I wouldn't like, but it ended up being hilarious. The banter and squabbles that these two share together when Sophie buys Miles' house is funny in an adorable way. They come from completely different walks of life, so it's natural for them to be tense at first, and as it happens, the reasoning behind this tension makes more sense as events unfold. There's a crusty exterior to his character, which lets the audience know that there's something that made him that way. The other characters in the community note this as well, and it's great to see Sophie metaphorically chip away at this exterior as he slowly starts to lower his guard. I am glad that the movie takes its time with the romantic build-up, but at the same time, I think that the pacing could have been dialed up a notch. Things move real slow between the two, with a hint here and there of what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden the two kiss without warning. There's also a weird conflict that happens between the two that feels out of place, at a time when you think the two would have cemented their relationship. This is where the movie started to resemble a more formulaic kind of rom-com, which was irritating, because we know the two are going to reunite anyway. Nonetheless, it was still fun to see the two interact with each other as they learn more about their family histories and developed a bond while transforming as characters. It all plays out as you would expect in the end, but even though the actual romance doesn't last long and the destination wasn't all that fulfilling, the journey was still enjoyable. As is typical with romantic comedies, it has some lighthearted scenarios to emphasize the comedy parts of the genre, as well as a few more dramatic ones for variety's sake. I think this area is a bit middle of the road for me as well, though I also think it does benefit from taking place in Scotland. There's something about the way the townspeople chat with each other that just gets to me. One instance might involve Sophie's driver, who has a ridiculously thick accent. Another may involve Miles' friend Thomas casually insulting him while they're at work, and yet another may involve something quirky one of the folks in the Knitters Club will say at Sophie's hotel. The whole movie is a grab bag of memorable dialogue, which makes up for the lack of diversity when it comes to comedic situations, save for one clever Princess Switch Easter egg. It's a shame that there's not a lot of humor to be found when characters are just setting up Christmas decorations or caroling, but the characters make do with what they can. That was something I found weird, by the way, the fact that there's not much of a Christmas vibe to be found until the movie's about halfway finished. This does make some sense because the movie doesn't start in winter, and Sophie does plan to stay in the castle until the holidays start, but by the time Christmas does roll around, it feels half-baked in its approach. Thankfully, one thing that is not half-baked is its Scottish setting, and I know I already mentioned that, but I need to give it its dues here. As someone who's traveled in Scotland, it was a real treat to see it on screen from a different point of view, and with so much energy behind it. The outdoor shots of characters walking outside of castles and inside cemeteries are filmed beautifully, and the soundtrack, what can I say, it's amazing. It has some typical holiday pop songs, but it's the live music performed in the pubs while patrons sing out loud that really pop and add flavor to the movie's story. A good number of these patrons are supporting characters from the knitting club who Sophie associates with, and most of them are fine, they're nothing extraordinary, but they do add to the variety of the dialogue. However, some of these characters feel incomplete in the way they're implemented. There's one woman named Macy who's supposed to have a romantic past with Thomas, who's Miles' friend, but it's never taken full advantage of. They have one or maybe two exchanges, and then they end up dancing together at the end. It didn't add anything to the main story, and honestly would have been better off being left out. Another character, Angus, was severely lacking in execution. He's supposed to be traumatized after the death of his husband to the point of not speaking, but again, it's pointless. He's back to talking after a few minutes of Sophie just being around. It feels like he's there just to tell Sophie to follow her heart, and using the death of a character we don't know to force an emotional reaction from the audience is incredibly cheap. But if there's one character that I love more than anyone else, it's Hamish. Dear God, this dog was amazing. He puts his paw on his face when he's embarrassed, has the classic puppy dog eyes when he's sad, and does a ton of tricks like dancing when other people are doing it too. He was easily the best source of comedy in this movie, and honestly, he puts Hollywood to shame with how often they use computer-generated dogs these days. Overall, A Castle for Christmas is a small step above the average made-for-TV romantic comedy, but ultimately isn't anything you haven't seen before. If you enjoyed romantic comedies that have a basic level of production quality behind them like so many others on TV these days, and you just want something digestible to watch, this one should do the trick. I like this movie more than I thought I would, but it may just be due to my nostalgia for Scotland. Its setting is certainly unique, and I appreciate the performances of the two leads, but there's a lot of undercooked elements behind it that needed more ironing out to make the movie truly noteworthy. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of A Castle for Christmas. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the French animated film, The Summit of the Gods. Bye bye!